All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, wait a second. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to start today by thanking the teams and organizations that helped to get this group off our streets and who continue in this partnership together. Our General Attorney General Brown and his entire team, Councilwoman Porter, the men and women of the Baltimore Police Department, especially the Group Violence Unit, Director Mavronis and our team at Muncie, our DEA Washington Division Special Agent in Charge, Ibrahim, is here today. The Washington Baltimore Hideout led by Jeff Beeson and everyone else involved in our group violence reduction strategy, which has played a key role in this takedown. As we say all the time, GVRS is about keeping our community safe, period. An important part of that is providing every available opportunity, as I always say, for folks to take a step away from the life. We want to get ahead of violence wherever possible, and we want every Baltimorean to be safe and alive and free. But in order for the strategy to work, we have to hold those who choose to engage in behaviors associated with violence consistently, time and time again, even after being given the chance to change their life, accountable. We will not tolerate groups like this one that ignore the strategy's mandate to put down the guns, who contribute to the proliferation of legal narcotics on our street and continue to do harm in our communities. Now, before we get into the specific of this case, I want to just underscore the impact that we are having throughout the city. As you all know, we started GVRS with a pilot in the Western District in January of 2022. And in just 3 years, as of yesterday, we've conducted 322 full direct communications and 266 law enforcement direct communications. We've connected 218 individuals identified through the strategy to life-changing services and made 407 arrests as a part of the strategy, including 332 by the GVU and BPD. And I will remind everyone that these individuals that we are making these communications with are the folks who are the most likely to be the victim or the perpetrator of gun violence in our city. That is progress. GVRS and the partnership you see here today are really critical to the efforts to reduce violence across Baltimore. And as of this morning, homicides are down 22.9%, and non-fatal shootings are down 32.1% this calendar year on top of last year. And that is, of course, on top of those 2 years of historic reduction in homicide declines, 20% in 2023 and 23% in 2024. And non-fatal shootings were down 34% last year. But there's always more to do, including expanding GVRS into other neighborhoods. And as we prepare to officially establish GVRS in South Baltimore, our strategy is already having an impact here. This group was initially identified by GVRS West, Baltimore. And I want to specifically thank our folks on the ground, these officers and the people in the neighborhoods, for their work. Together, we are sending a clear message. If you turn down the support, or if you call my bluff, or in Baltimore, as we say, if you tell the mayor to kick rocks, this will be what happens to you. Swift, certain, and legitimate consequences. We are going to keep doing public safety this way, the right way, in partnership, investing in all of the things that matter, in constitutional policing, community violence intervention, together to make sure that we continue this work. And thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to someone who I am eternally grateful for, not just for his partnership here, but his partnership each and every day to fight to make sure that we preserve democracy in this country, our Attorney General Brown. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And let me start by wishing you a belated birthday. Yes, indeed. We're all here to sing you happy birthday. But in all seriousness, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your leadership. The GVRS is just, the results are extraordinary. The partnerships, the teamwork, the commitment, it wouldn't happen but for your leadership and the partnership of so many. So let me thank you very much. And thank you for giving the Office of the Attorney General and my criminal division, led by Katie Dorian, our Organized Crime Unit led by Paul Halliday. They're both here. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to partner with you in this very important work. Monzi's doing an extraordinary job. Stephanie Mavronis, thank you for your leadership. I want to thank our on-the-front-line partners. That's the Baltimore City Police Department. I know today we're going to hear from Deputy Commissioner Jones. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for choosing us to be your partner in this crime-fighting effort. Special Agent in Charge, Mia, thank you, and our other federal partners for the work that you do and that partnership. So I'm glad that we're all working together to make our streets safer for everyone here in Curtis Bay, in Baltimore. The Office of the Attorney General is in Curtis Bay, not only on the crime-fighting front, also when it comes to things like environmental protection, and I joined the mayor a few months ago on an important announcement on that front as well. This is an important community in Baltimore, a very important community here in the state of Maryland. This case is the result of an extraordinary collaboration across federal, state, and local law enforcement to dismantle the criminal networks that profit from addiction and violence. Fentanyl is driving an unprecedented overdose crisis, fueling both its deadly effects and the violence tied to the drug trade. We make Baltimore safer by removing those who peddle poison from our streets. This investigation was launched to address high levels of fentanyl overdoses in this community. By charging these 11 defendants, these indictments will certainly help save lives. With these arrests, we are shutting down a violent drug trafficking ring that has plagued the Curtis Bay community and removing guns from those who use them to terrorize this neighborhood. This case highlights our strategic efforts to dismantle organized crime, to curb drug trafficking and gun violence, and to make Maryland safer for all. We can't make Maryland safe if dangerous people have access to fully automatic firearms. During these investigations, police recovered 9 handguns and 3 Glock switches. Recovering those guns is important, and I want to highlight that taking those switches off the streets will save many lives. For just $20, these switches turn handguns into weapons of war capable of firing up to 1,200 rounds per minute. The faster a gun fires, the more lives, children, parents, grandparents, bystanders, law enforcement, the more lives that are put at risk in the crossfire. Seizing these switches is crucial to protecting public safety, but we know we can't arrest our way out of gun violence and this crisis. That's why earlier this year we sued Glock along with Baltimore City for fueling the gun violence epidemic. Like my colleagues here, the Office of the Attorney General knows there's no single solution for keeping Marylanders safe. It takes every tool at our disposal to tackle gun violence, organized crime, and addiction. So I appreciate GVRS's holistic commitment to saving lives. Make no mistake, as the mayor mentioned, if you kick rocks at the mayor, these indictments show that if you ignore the GVRS's opportunities to transform your life and continue down the path of violence, the Attorney General's office will, working with the Baltimore City Police Department, find, prosecute, and hold you accountable for the violence that you've caused. So with that, let me turn it over to Deputy Commissioner Kevin Jones.
Good afternoon on behalf of Commissioner Worley, Baltimore Police Department. Good afternoon. Thank you to Attorney General Brown, Mayor Scott, and all of those here with us today. This investigation began in September 2024 as joint law enforcement collaboration between the Attorney General's office and the DEA as part of the Group Violence Reduction Strategy. It was launched in the Western District and in response to a rise in overdose deaths and intelligence regarding open-air drug markets and operating in these areas. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank all the members of the Group Violence Unit and their continued dedication to these investigations. Some of the lead detectives are here with us today, and I'd like to personally thank them. Sergeant Brian Flynn, Detective Talmadge, Salmon, Armstrong, and Vanderbrook. Thank you to the hard work and cooperation between our agencies as we were once again able to dismantle a violent drug trafficking organization causing significant hardships to our citizens, neighborhoods, and on these streets. We know that drug trafficking not only drives violence in Baltimore, but also further victimizes those vulnerable individuals struggling with substance abuse, many of whom are losing their lives to overdose at an alarming rate. This takedown is the latest in a series of targeted operations aimed at putting drug trafficking organizations out of business. Among those indicted, 9 of these suspects have prior records, including charges for carjacking, armed robbery, assault, and handgun violations. This operation highlights our continued commitment to GVRS and to disrupting the kind of criminal activity that plagues our various communities. While we remain focused on pursuing those responsible for drug-related violence and trafficking, we also recognize that the opioid crisis and broader substance use challenges require a multifaceted approach that extends far beyond enforcement. To that end, we are working with our partners to bring Narcan and CPR training to this community, not only to build trust, but to equip residents with life-saving tools that they can use in a moment's notice when it truly matters. Before closing, I want to thank again all our partners standing with us today and the dedicated men and women of the Baltimore Police Department. Respectfully, our Group Violence Unit, for their tireless efforts to make our city a safer place to live, work, thrive, and play. Again, thank you, and at this time, I will turn it over to Special Agent in charge of the DEA, Washington Division, Ibra Mian.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want all those that are watching us to know that all the persons of DEA and resources and the federal government are committed and dedicated to saving and protecting the American public. It's in that pursuit that we know that in our DMV area, the top drug threats are fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine. What exacerbates this situation is the proliferation of fake pills. These fake pills contain fentanyl, methamphetamine, and other deadly drugs. It's truly heartbreaking, the lives that we've lost and are losing due to the irresponsible actions and the violence perpetrated by these criminal organizations that do not care about who they hurt. They are clearly attacking the security and well-being of our communities because their interest is to generate illegal, illicit profits. And they do so by selling dangerous and deadly drugs and perpetrating violence to ensure those profits. There's no care for human life. You've heard in this investigation, it's drugs, it's guns, and it's violence. Esteemed colleagues that have spoken before me, they show that by working together, we're systematically eliminating these violent street gangs and their criminal networks that hurt our people. As the SAC of DEA of the Washington Division, we cover Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And as someone that lives here, I'm truly grateful and humbled by the men and women of the DEA, of the AG's office, Baltimore City Police Department, HIDA, and the Mayor's office, and many more partners that are with us. We have successfully executed this investigation, and removed the individuals and the drugs and the guns from Curtis Bay and from Maryland, making it a better place. To those criminals that operate in Maryland and in the nation, please pay attention to these next words. Know that we will use everything that we have to come after you. Whether you're the head of a criminal organization or you're someone that's facilitating these illegal activities that hurt our people and our communities, know that we are working tirelessly to bring you to justice. Thank you. And following me is Stephanie Mavonis from the Muncie Director.
Thank you, Special Agent in Charge, Mia. I'm Stephanie Mavronis, Director of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, Muncie here in Baltimore. Muncie serves as the coordinator and interagency accountability partner for Baltimore's group violence reduction strategy. My team works closely with youth advocate programs and ROCA, who serve as our service providers. They provide intensive services and wraparound supports for GVRS participants. I want to thank all of the partners gathered here today for their role in ensuring GVRS is effective in our mission to safeguard communities. First and foremost, this strategy is designed to intervene with those at the absolute highest risk of being involved in violence. One driver of violence in our communities is people engaged in organized drug trafficking who carry illegal firearms to advance their interests. This strategy relies on proactive engagement and intervention. We do not want to respond only after a shooting or homicide. Through GVRS, in fact, we work to get ahead of potential violence, offering group members a way out, and, like we're announcing here today, holding those who continue inflicting harm in our communities accountable. Each day, we're seeing this approach build sustainable safety outcomes and change the trajectories of those most at risk of being involved in violence, either as a perpetrator or victim. In addition to the numbers that the mayor mentioned, which show our successes to date, of the 218 participants receiving services through GVRS since we started this work in 2022, of those 218, over 90% have not recidivated. Over 90% have not been re-victimized. And so where we're able to connect individuals with services, we are seeing great success in that transformation. Like the mayor said, while we're in the process of officially expanding to the Southern District, we're here today because violence dynamics in other parts of the city, the Western District specifically, led us here. And so we will continue to identify violence. We will continue to look at groups who get on our radar because of their involvement in violence. And following the law enforcement action mobilized last month, our team at Muncie has mobilized city services in partnership with BPD and a host of other agencies in the Curtis Bay community to prevent other groups from capitalizing on the power vacuum left in the wake of this takedown. This includes substance abuse and harm reduction services through the city's health department, the Mayor's Office of Homeless Services, and other wraparound supports tailored to the community's needs. We've been coordinating with residents, community organizations, and businesses in the area to ensure continued support and long-term safety for our neighbors in South Baltimore. Together, alongside the partners gathered here today and our residents, we will continue to do the work necessary to safeguard our communities long-term while intervening with those at the absolute highest risk of being involved in violence. And with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Director, and thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you for our partners for their work. With that, we'll turn it over for questions. Lindsay, tap that mic. All right, good.
Jeff Hager with Channel 2. Were there any fentanyl deaths associated with this drug trafficking organization?
I think that what we have to, of course, just so you know, Jeff, how overdose data works, right? If we're talking about an investigation that we started late last year, the way that information and data comes in and verified by the state, we would not have that for quite some time. But at a later date, we might be able to track that down. But right now, we couldn't tell you that.
And in the event that it turns out that there were actually deaths on some of the fentanyl, would we seek some tougher penalties for these same people? Is that another
That's a
message you want to
question
get out
for the
there?
AG's team. Mr. AJ said
If
if
it
we
turns
find
out
out
there were
that
fentanyl
somebody
deaths on
died from
any of these
overdose.
defendants, could further charges be coming in association with their deaths being tied to the drug?
Well, let me just say this. We have pursued those types of prosecutions in the past. All depends on the facts and how we apply the law to the facts. But, our goal is to take the facts, the tools we have in the law, and to hold people accountable for all of the damages, the harm, the destruction that they do to the community. So I can't speak specifically here, okay? But when presented with facts and the law match up, where we can bring that type of prosecution, we have in the past.
Thank you.
Hey, Logan Hollinger, independent journalist.
Logan, I can't hear you, man.
Logan Hollinger, independent journalist.
You good? Yep.
I have a question regarding the impact of these drug seizures on the drug supply. Studies have shown that when there's actions such as these, when the drugs are removed from the current drug supply, oftentimes drug users seek out other suppliers, which increases overdose death rates. And I'm wondering if there are concerns about that and whether there are efforts to target harm reduction services in these areas where there are seizures.
Well, I think Director Mavronis actually spoke to that, right? That Monty is leading that effort to help bring that to the neighborhood is also a part of our broader overdose reduction goals in the city of Baltimore, something that we're keenly aware of. And just so you know, as we've been doing GVRS throughout the city and as we've seen these takedowns and rules of drug organizations, it also coincides with overdose deaths going down in Baltimore. We're going to continue to expand harm reduction. Monty is leading on that effort here, and we can be sure to follow up with you so you can see our whole overdose reduction plan that we have that talks extensively about how we work with community groups and others who are leading, including city government, on how to expand harm reduction with a much wider breadth in the city of Baltimore.
Yeah, if there's any data that shows a correlation between GVRS actions and a decrease in overdose deaths, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'll just say writ large, right? I think that we know what time GVRS started, and we know when overdoses have started to reduce in Baltimore. So all of those things work together, but we'll follow up with you.
And what was the year GVS started?
GVRS started in 2022, and it got really expanded last year as the biggest when we reached our largest point to where we are today.
Right,
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we all know the saying, where there's drugs, there's guns. Based on this takedowns you've done over the last few months, do you think that's a big driver of what's causing the drop in homicides and non-fatal shootings?
I think what's the big driver is that we all of us, and then even partners, other partners that we have, like the state's attorney, all of us are bought into focusing in on the people who are the most likely to be the victim or perpetrator. We know who the folks are out there with the guns. Those are the people that we're focusing on. We know who the folks who are running these illegal organizations that almost always have guns like this, right? There's no, my opinion on Glock switches. There's no need for anyone to have that. But anybody with any inkling of a brain would understand, as you do, that if you have a Glock switch and you have this amount of illegal drugs, you're having it for a reason. And we want to continue that work and that focus, and that's what everyone here is committed to doing.
Yeah. One follow-up.
Yeah.
I know just about a block or so away last January, 6-year-old Mary Schumann was shot.
Mm-hmm.
With this seizure, is there anything as part of this investigation that may lead to some leads in that case?
We'll see, and we couldn't. You know better than anybody that we couldn't talk about that out loud, right? But our folks at BPD, working with our federal partners, as you know, they're going to trace every gun and make every connection in any case that we can bring closure there. We will.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we'll conclude with the press conference. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.